Sorry, I know it's super early for you there, but like I couldn't wait.
No, that's cool. Um,
It's exciting.
yeah, this is crazy. This is awesome. Let me see.
The world is
This,
like the world literally can't wait. And as soon as I saw she was wearing purple, I'm like, oh my God. Philip, wake up. It's time. It's time. It's
yeah,
time.
I'm pretty well awoken after this trailer. So, hey, let's just get into this
Sure.
little mini-sode. Crap, I have we already broken our numbering system with the
Oh
episodes?
shoot. Were we at
This will,
27
well,
or
this would be 30, but we only have a brief amount of time. So do we even want to consider
we'll
this
call it like a bonus. Yeah, it's like a bonus mini-sode because maybe
yeah,
it'll just be like 20-ish minutes once it's edited, something
yeah,
shorter. And if you want to do a longer one on it, like we could, but I
yeah,
think 30 minutes might be enough.
yeah. So this would be a little frozen corner
Yes.
mini-sode. New they are referring to it as a full-length trailer or an official trailer.
Mhm.
Now it really is probably even shorter than the first one. It's a minute
I
53 seconds.
Yep, I watched it on Good Morning America, and they had the intro with her, the part we had already seen with the teaser, freezing the ocean waves and running up on them. But
Hmm.
when I watched the trailer online, it doesn't have that same start. So yeah, it's probably shorter when you take that portion out,
Huh.
obviously.
Yeah, this doesn't have quite the buildup of her standing on the shoreline. It sort of just kicks right off with her running up the wave.
Yeah, she's running up the wave. But it doesn't have her on the beach being pensive. She's sort of like ready to go at it and immediately submerged water, which is when you start getting the new content.
Totally. Yep. The trailer's a minute 53 seconds. The teaser trailer's 2 minutes. So this is a shorter trailer, but it has more information, more dialogue, eh, lots to get into. There are some other synopses that have made their way online. See, Frozen 2 official synopsis offers sequel storyline clues. I'm seeing this on CBR.com.
The only thing that I read was that it's going to show the search for her origin, like the power origin, like why was she born with these powers? But I don't know if that's just like a fan idea or if it's like maybe official the storyline, but that this story is going to like kind of dig into the source of her powers and why she was born with them.
Yeah,
Did you read that anywhere?
that's what it says here. What let's see. Why was Elsa born with magical powers? The answer is calling her and threatening her kingdom. Together with Anna, Kristoff, Olaf, and Sven, she'll set out on a dangerous but remarkable journey. In Frozen, Elsa feared her powers were too much for the world. In Frozen 2, she must hope they are enough.
Mm-hmm.
That
And that's sort of said by Paw Patrol. I was sort of hoping that this movie wouldn't have the trolls because I thought they were sort of like the weak link
mm,
in the original Frozen. So when they brought them back, I was like, oh man, those silly guys. But I mean, I'm so excited about it that it doesn't really matter that they brought
mm.
them back.
Yeah, it is kind of magic centric, and the trolls figure in heavily into the magic of this fantasy world. So yeah, it seems pretty straightforward, almost maybe a stripped down, minimalist approach with the sequel. Not a whole lot of human characters. It sounds like.
No, they didn't show any more of that. Those two that were featured a bit in the original trailer. Remember those two kind of sidekick characters we saw for a brief second in the first
Yeah.
trailer? They're not in this second one. You don't learn much more about them. You don't learn anything more about them.
No.
You see a little bit more Olaf, a lot more Troll, and you even spotted that the mom is in this trailer.
Yeah, well, yeah, she does appear briefly, following a brief shot of young Elsa, and then you see the cameras looking up at her mom, looking into the distance out the window of the castle at the Northern Lights.
Hmm.
So maybe the Northern Lights will figure into some of the magic and mysticism in the show, or in the film.
Yeah, absolutely. And they show another shot of her doing that where everything becomes kind of like sequins and diamonds suspended in air. I don't know what you want to call that, but they did that in the first one and with this one where she sort of the whole like world sort of like is it freezing or what's happening when those little diamonds are like suspended and floating? What are they diamonds? I'm not sure.
I don't know. We see the moment that that effect is triggered, and it is during a sequence involving Elsa, what appears to be a musical number, where she's,
Yes.
yeah,
I can't wait.
dancing among all these. And it looks like they're kind of rendered using a combination of 2D animation and 3D animation. So that was kind of an interesting touch, seeing the classic form returning to the screen in this film.
And what did you think of the purple, Philip? Where
Uh,
she's wearing purple. It's like the color of royalty, the color purple. So like I love it. I feel like it gave her more of like a grown-up, sophisticated look. Obviously the world's going to be obsessed with her ice dress, but the second I saw her in that new dress, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be like the one on all the merchandise because there's no princesses that wear purple. None of them
that
in the
that
princess
is
line. So now she really is queen."
that's such deep purple that I can smell the smoke on the water.
I
It's a rock reference.
don't get it.
Yeah. Um, there's a rock band called Deep Purple. They did the
Oh
song
yeah,
Smoke
Prince.
on the Water."
Oh.
Well, no, they're not related to Prince, but yeah.
The
Um,
real question, Philip, is
yeah.
what's the deal with the underwater horse mirages? Like what's important about these horses?
Yeah. I'm
And
seeing,
what's
yeah.
going on with the giant marshmallow that's made out of rocks? There's so many questions that come out of this trailer for me.
We did address the notion of frost giants, right?
Mhm.
In our teaser breakdown.
Yep.
So the YouTube channel Super Carlin Brothers did an analysis of the runes that appear on the diamonds, and there are four different rune letters. So like the ancient Norse runic alphabet appears, in the Frozen films, and in the trailer and the teaser trailer and the teaser poster, we get the four different symbols, and I can't remember exactly what they all were. I think something to do with magic, something to do with I don't know, maybe fear, or something to do with ice, and then one to do with giants, ancient symbol
Right.
for frost giants, and that ended up being dead on.
I know. I just want to know how it all like ends up being pulled together. Did you think that the trailer comes off a little too intense for like a Disney movie that is aimed at kids? Like it definitely has that more grown up of vibe, just like the one we had before. Do you think that this one's going to be PG? Was the first Frozen G or PG?
The first one was PG.
Oh, then this one will be the
Should have
same.
been G, honestly. But
She
yeah,
punches Hans. Maybe that's what took it over the line.
yeah, I don't know. I guess that there are characters whose lives are. I guess it can, like when I do watch it, it does have some really intense, emotional beats, like the end when Hans is literally about to like decapitate Elsa. So I mean, I suppose that's probably what warranted the PG rating. Uh, but yeah, this film, I mean, doesn't look like it'll involve too much. The conflict won't necessarily revolve around humans. Those big giants are interesting. I hope they do something clever with the design. Um, they kind of just look like big amorphous versions of Marshmallow.
At first, that's what I thought it was, but then I realized, no, it's rock.
Hmm.
And she kind of, in the middle of the trailer, she sees those rock giants and the horses as kind of like, I don't know what you'd call them, but like hologram
Yeah.
type versions. So I don't know if she like is gonna have like visions of some sort, or what
Mhm.
that is, because when she's underwater she sees the horses, and when she's sort of doing her dance type thing she sees a hologram of the big rock guys, and then you see the real rock guy at the very end.
Okay, I've also got this bit from the official synopsis, which says that in Frozen 2, Elsa encounters a Nock, spelled Nokk, a mythical water spirit that takes the form of a horse, who
Oh,
uses
that's
the,
what it is.
yeah, this horse uses the power of the ocean to guard the secrets of the forest. So,
Hmm.
what this trailer does purportedly explain is the reason why Elsa is trying to, you know, get out into the ocean, past the waves.
Right.
In the first trailer, it's presumably to chase after this horse spirit, um, and then she falls underneath the waves, and it appears in this sort of solidified yet still liquid appearing water form. Um, so yeah, I think the spirit probably appears to her because she does have magical capabilities, even though it's not necessarily coming from her.
Yeah.
It's maybe Elsa's sensitivity to magic enables her to sort of tap into some of these spiritual forces that normally wouldn't appear in the traditional human world. Um, Now that whole dynamic shifts probably quite a bit once they enter the enchanted lands to the north, which are alluded to in this trailer.
Right. And that's where they're heading in their sleigh to figure it all out. And I
Mhm.
hope that they use a lot of flashbacks. And I, again, like to echo what we talked about originally when we saw the first teaser, I hope that the whole plot isn't like centered around finding their parents. Like, I'm really happy that it's more about finding why she possesses these powers. And I want to like retract my statement of like, I hope Anna gets powers. I kind of think that she won't, and I kind of don't want her to. Like, I want her to be the human balance of Elsa's magic, you know. i
Mhm.
want i want Anna to stay as human as possible just to balance it out.
Yeah, one concern I had watching or just hearing kind of the dialogue in the trailer was whether Elsa will even be allowed to keep her powers. If part of um, the motivation will be to find a way to remove her powers because they've ended up summoning this potentially destructive force from this mysterious land.
Hmm. We'll find out in how many days? November 22nd is when we'll find out all the
Hmm.
answers to this. But
Hmm.
I think that this trailer was extra exciting, and I think everybody is getting really pumped up for this movie now. Not that they weren't before, but I think this trailer gave away just enough like to bite onto, but like not enough for anyone to really, really know like what the storyline is going to be like. And I love that because I don't really like trailers that tell the whole story. So I hope they don't give away too much more as the release date gets closer.
Oh my gosh, I was so happy when I saw that the runtime for this video was a cool 1 minute and 53 seconds, and no longer. There's just still so little that we know, and I kind of want it to stay that way. But the further we do go along in this journey and find out more and more details, like I kind of want to know every bit of it, just so that I'm not left in the dark regarding the fate of this film. Although I mean, my reasoning for wanting to really be apprised of every little bit of information I could get my hands on. Mostly stemmed from like my fear that they were maybe taking it in a direction that I didn't agree with. And the initial teaser totally reassured any doubts that I had that they might be going in some kind of by the numbers direction. And this one also, I mean, stylistically alone, it's just so interesting and exquisite, that I know I'm in for a treat.
Definitely.
No
It's
matter
like
what.
no other Disney movie, animation movie I've seen. It's
It
going to be amazing.
Yeah, the sequel follow-up idea that they're going for could be a little formulaic, just because it's like, oh, we're going to journey to a mysterious land that can only be accessed through magic, and there's just not going to be a whole lot of consequences to the real human world. Are the themes going to necessarily parallel the human arc, character arcs throughout this films as nicely as they did in the original film? Part of the reason I love the original Frozen so much is it just has so much symmetry. The uh, concept of mirrors plays a big role in the original source material, but also you see that with the conflicts these characters are experiencing in real life, but also internally as well. So I wonder if how these giants, these forces line up with sort of the inner demons that are
Oh,
affecting Elsa and Anna. And it could be interesting. I mean, we do see Elsa looking very frightened when she's like witnessing this giant for what I assume to be the first time. So she's still got a lot of like built-in fear,
mhm.
residual fear from her upbringing to work through. And also, it's important to recognize that like fear isn't to be maligned totally or to be like discarded. It's more important to manage it and like to embrace the parts of fear that are useful, but not let it
Right.
get out of control. Not let that be your first impulse.
And I mean that's so much of what Elsa like has to learn is controlling these feelings and these powers to work for her. So I guess we'll get to see that develop more and more. And I mean, I don't even want to talk about that there might be like a third, but like I hope that this is a trilogy. So hopefully
Yeah.
we get to know these characters a lot during the second one and even more in the future. I think
Yeah.
that Disney is really putting its best foot forward with this because it knows how much people are obsessed and this has its own like fandom really.
Yeah. Well, there's no indication that this is meant to be a conclusion to the Frozen story. So good sign there. I'm honestly, as much as I love Frozen, I'm not that horribly clued into the scope of the fan base. And like I don't do a lot of social media despite doing this podcast. I haven't really interacted with other members of the like Frozen fan community, such as it is. I know it is largely a fan base composed of really young kids who like the music, like the characters, the aesthetics. I feel there has to be an adult audience out there
There
too.
definitely is an adult audience, and this movie is going to cater to it because of the way it looks so grown up. But there's totally an adult fandom for
Mhm.
Frozen, and now this Frozen like series of movies.
Probably one that will engage in a much broader dialogue now that we see the world being expanded. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about, as fans. I mean, plenty to talk about, but not a lot to like really speculate on necessarily
Mhm.
with the first film. Is very self-contained. But as a franchise grows, you tend to see the fan base build out, broader and broader, to where you get a lot of fan fiction works, people interested in comic book or novel spin-offs, TV spin-offs. I know there has been like a comic book series related to Frozen. I haven't read it from Dark Horse Comics.
I
Um,
haven't read it either. No.
okay, yeah, it could be interesting. Um, I was curious, like how much it is supposed to affect the events within the continuity of the films when they do these things. I'm very curious about the geopolitical aspects of the Frozen universe, and I would have wanted those to be explored in future sequels. That might be difficult to do, to sort of have like a Game of Thrones style uh, wartime epic told through the Disney animation. Just a lot of moving parts involved in that type of scenario. But I think it could be done, with the success and the resources that they've had in recent years, to just really go full bore into like high fantasy. But also, I wanted to have them, film set firmly within the context of Northern Europe, circa the early 19th century. So is this world that we're seeing with Arendelle purely a metaverse a la Westeros, or the Middle Earth in Lord of the Rings, or is it supposed to be our world just with a few differences? I wonder if they'll address that.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure well, I hope they will. We can only hope.
Either way, you could, I think, develop a pretty interesting geopolitical scenario, the neighboring kingdoms, and how Arendelle and Elsa might factor into like the ambitions of nearby rulers, whether it's set in a real world or not. I think the only indication that this could be like actual real life Europe from the first movie is like the accents of some of the foreign dignitaries present at the coronation. Other than that, there aren't any references to any like real life places. I know did I ever mention on the show, internally at Disney Animation, they do have a map of the Princess Kingdoms. Yes.
Oh, wait, no, you never mentioned that to me. Is there a place that we can find this map online?
No, this might be kind of a big scoop, honestly. I heard it on a podcast that I helped co-produce, Disney Coast to Coast. The host, Jeff, interviewed the creator of Elena of Avalor. And
I love Elena.
Yeah. In the development of this series, the creator, who was also the creator of Sophia the First.
Yeah, because Elena was trapped in her locket. Their story is super intertwined.
Yeah. They wanted to figure out a way they could integrate some of these other characters from the Disney fairy tales.
Right.
Craig Gerber is his name, the creator and writer of these series. And so they developed, like, they had a team come up with like a fantastical map of all the kingdoms from which the individual princesses hail. How much bearing it is supposed to have on the actual canon of these films is a question, versus just within the context of the show Elena of Avalor and Sophia the First. I don't think necessarily the teams developing these films take this map into account, but it could be at least a basis for like trying to figure out, if they did take it in that direction, how they would address a broader geopolitical climate in these films.
I don't know, Philip.
Sorry.
Hands on the map. No, that's super interesting. I'd love to see the map and then do a whole episode on that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Frozen's Arendelle is probably somewhere at the top or the bottom, the North or the South Pole. But I don't know.
I would rather, it be a little bit more comprehensive than, I'm sure, this fairly simplistic fantasy. I shouldn't say it's probably simplistic. It could actually be pretty well fleshed out. But I like to imagine that Frozen is sort of distinct from some of the other films in that it could relate a little bit more heavily to not just a fairy tale world, but also the real world.
Mm-hmm. I think you'll be happily surprised because I think that's probably the direction they'll take it. But we'll see. We'll see. This is the fun of it. We can speculate all we want.
This is me speculating on what would ultimately be the third installment if they did to go a more grounded route with that. I'm pretty sure this one's just going to stick mainly to the fantastical realm. So banking on some cool designs with the giants and the spirits, and this kind of fantasy adventure or action adventure genre. But in terms of like actual theming with the characters, that's where I'm really curious where they'll take it. And I hope they do something, very, very substantive with it.
All right.
I know you got limited time. So anything else to say regarding?
No, I'm just happy that we could squeeze this in. Mm-hmm. All I had in my notes was purple dress, underline, power origin, underline, what's with the horses? And I love the little ice boat that Olaf and Anna are in when they go down a waterfall. Those were all my notes. I was just excited to talk about it because I've never been more excited for an animated movie in my life, like including my childhood. So
no, for sure. Beautiful landscape shot of Elsa's ice castle in the distance with the wagon being pulled on wheels behind Sven. We see a wheeled sled. I suppose, aka just a carriage or a horse cart. Did we mention we see Anna and Elsa's mother briefly?
Yep.
Of course. So I that's one aspect of the original that I would love to see addressed, and looks like we will. What was the extent of Elsa's interaction with the rest of her family? How isolated was she? I like to imagine she did have an affectionate relationship with at least her parents, and that's why she was just so distraught when they died. Even though they were kind of responsible for screwing her up, they were also her one kind of guiding light.
I really hope that they take some time to, like you said, just open up the doors a little bit into their childhood and all that time we skip over in the original, because I have so many ideas of how that time was spent between their toddler years and their adulthood with the parents in the house. So I don't know. We'll see. I have a feeling I'm going to think it's a 10 out of 10 no matter what. But I do have lots of questions, and I hope that they're answered in this movie. All
right. Well, we'll have a journey to the Forbidden Lands epic tale.
November 22nd.
All right. Thanks so much, Jody. Talk to you later.
Yep. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.